Hi, I'm Kim, and I'm a librarian here at Maricopa County. Today we're going to learn how to make these headbands out of old t-shirts that you no longer want to use. I've used the book DIY T-Shirt Crafts by Adrian Surian as my guidance, and I've made a few changes to make it easier to use. But I've basically followed the instructions for this. To do this craft, you'll need an old t-shirt that you no longer use. It's best if it has no side seams. So you can see my t-shirt here has no side seams. Now the black one I made with a t-shirt with side seams, and it worked fine. It has a few places where you can see the side seams, but it worked fine. And actually I liked using this material better. It was an easier material to use that had part rayon as opposed to this one that had 100% cotton. The one I'm making today is made out of 100% cotton. It's a little bit harder to do, but it works just fine. So you're gonna need your t-shirt, you're gonna need a ruler, a good pair of scissors, or if you have one of those rotary cutters, that would be really nice, and some liquid stitch. I got this for $1 at Walmart. So this whole craft cost me $1 and an old t-shirt that I would have thrown away anyway. Okay, so let's get started. To do this craft, you're gonna take your t-shirt and let me move this stuff out of the way. You're just going to cut. My t-shirt has buttons and all that, so, and some stains, but the stains I don't think will show at all in here. And you're gonna just cut it under the armpits, straight across, so that you're getting the maximum amount of t-shirt that you can use. And I went a little high here, but that won't matter. Now don't throw away this piece because you're going to need a little piece of that later. So just set that aside. The next thing you want to do is cut off the seam at the bottom, the hem. So I'm gonna make that nice and straight, and I'm gonna cut this. So once you have your shirt cut just the way you want it, the next thing that you need to do is fold your shirt in half so that the right and the left sides of the shirt, so originally my shirt was this way, so the right and the left sides of the shirt line up. Keep it nice and straight if you can. So there we have it, and I'm kind of smoothing this out. And then you want to face the sides of the shirt toward you. So I'm gonna turn it this way. And then I'm just gonna make 1-inch strips. I'm just gonna cut 1-inch strips from this, and at the top, and it really doesn't matter, one side has the folds and one side has no folds. Don't think it really matters which one you do. But I'm going to make 1-inch strips, so, you know, just kind of, you can just kind of eye it. And you kind of want that straightened out a little bit, but you don't have to be very particular with your shirts. So I'm just gonna make my cuts, and as I cut, when I get to the top, I'm gonna leave 1 inch from the top that's still attached, not cut, so that the whole shirt will still be held together. So there we go, and now I've got my 1 inch up at the top, and I've just got these strips. Now try and keep this as neat as you can when you're doing this. It will help you in the long run. So I'm gonna do another one, and I'm just kind of eyeing it. That's about 1 inch. So I'll cut there. Okay, so now I have my shirt cut so that you can see it's all cut and it has an inch at the top. Now, this gets a little tricky, but I'm going to unfold this. So I'm just gonna flip it so that it unfolds. You just have to be patient as you do this. Okay. So we are ready for the next part. So I'm going to tell you what the directions say. They say, now cut along the top layer only, making diagonal cuts so that you're connecting one cut strip to the neighboring strip. It's all right to have slight corners. Okay, so we're going to just take this one and we're going to cut diagonally over to the next one. Now, I'm not just going to keep cutting because I have a hard time doing this. So I'm going to start here. Okay, so I cut that diagonally, and now when I unfold it, I have this first piece that's here. So I'm going to cut this piece so that it's the beginning. So here is the beginning of my yarn. Now I have this long piece here. So I'm going to cut through this yarn, through this piece. And now I have a long one. And I'm going to cut through this piece. So now I have a long one. Now on the top, I need to cut diagonal again. So now I'm going to cut here diagonal. And then I've got this long piece. And on the bottom, I'm going to cut straight through. And then I'm going to unfold it. And when I get to this top one, I'm going to cut diagonally. So it takes me over to the next strip without ever breaking the yarn. Now it does have a bit of a dip in it, but that doesn't really matter. This is pretty forgiving. Okay, so now I'm on the bottom layer, so I'm going to cut straight through. And now I'm on the top layer. So I'm going to go diagonal over to the next cut. And then I'm on the bottom layer, so I'm going to cut straight through. Oh, this one doesn't want to cut. Now I'm on the top layer, and it really helps if you keep these nice and neat. So I'm going to cut diagonally. And then on the bottom layer, I'm going to cut straight through. And then on the top layer, I cut diagonally. And on the bottom layer, I cut straight through. Keep repeating this because it took me a long time to figure it out, and so I figure if I keep repeating and you keep watching, it will make sense to you, hopefully. Now I'm on the top layer. So the top layer goes diagonal. We're almost done. And the bottom layer goes straight through. If I were to do this again, I would have this, I would leave less than an inch for my top cut. I think I would leave that quite a bit smaller. And then my bottom layer, straight through. Top layer goes diagonal. And we now have a very long piece of T-shirt fabric. This is very nice. Now for the project that we're doing, the book tells us to do 24 inches, but I have done 20 inches of shirt yarn. However, this is the shirt yarn. However, every time I've done 20 inches, I've come up short on my headband. It's been a little bit too small. So I'm gonna do 24 inches, and I might even do a little bit bigger than that. So I've gotta find where my end is. And I'm gonna cut 10 strips out of this. And do you see how this is crooked? I'm gonna straighten that out because I want a nice straight end where everything can match up. Okay, so I'll just throw that in the trash. And then I'm just gonna measure this. So there's, and I'm not pulling. I want it to be a real, like how it lays. So there's 24. I'm gonna give it just another maybe inch because I just want it to be long enough. Now I'm just gonna use this as my master, and I'm gonna cut the rest of my 10 pieces. So I'm just gonna lay that on there, pull this yarn, laying as nicely as I can. And I'm gonna cut this. Now if this is too long, it's not gonna matter at all because I can cut some off at the end. So I'd rather this be too long than too short, because if it's too short, then your headband is too small. Okay, let me do this here where you can see it. So I just continue to make these little strips. And again, like I said, try not to let them pull because they are easy to stretch. And also try to make sure you're really at the edge. If you get a lot of different sizes, that's where your headband becomes too short because you have to even them all up. Okay, so now I have a pile of 5. Let me count that to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a pile of 5. I'm gonna do one more for my new template, and then I'm gonna put that aside. So here's my new one. Again, being careful not to stretch my fabric. Just let it lie naturally. So there's my new one. Put this pile of 5 aside. And here's my new one. I'm gonna do 5 strips again. So it's two sets of 5 strips each. Okay, I'm gonna put my extra yarn away, and now comes the fun part where we actually make the headband. So the first part of the headband, you're going to make like a, what are those called? You're just gonna make a circle like awareness symbol. And then at my second strand, so it's 5 all together, my second strand is I'm going to make a U. I'm gonna lay it over the top of the left side of my awareness shape, and the right side is going to go underneath that awareness shape. And then it just forms into a nice U. And you can see I'm trying to keep things even, because the more even they are, the better it is. Now this part gets a little bit tricky, so pay attention. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the left side of my U, I'm going to put it underneath my whole awareness circle, or my awareness shape, so that it's kind of in the center there of that circle part. Then I'm gonna take the right side of my U. I'm gonna go over the right side of the awareness circle, under the left side of the U shape, and then back over the left side of the awareness circle. And this is going to form my knot. So now I'm gonna pull all my pieces, and I'm just gonna keep kind of evenly pulling and messing until it gets a nice, tight knot. Continue on until I have the knot that I like. And once I have that knot, now all I'm going to do, first of all, they say you want, for this part, you want the total length to be 22 inches. Let's see if we've managed to do that with this, because every time I come up short. So there is 12, and there is 8. So that is 20 inches. It's always short, I don't know why. I would make this, when I do it again, if I was you, instead of doing 2 feet, I would do 2.5 feet, honestly, or maybe even 3 feet. Okay, now we're gonna go back to that shirt piece that I told you we needed. I'm gonna set this aside, and we're gonna go back to this shirt piece that I said we needed. I'm gonna go on the back just because the front has writing on it. So I'm gonna cut a little square out of the back, and it's gonna be about the size of that knot. So the book says to do it 3 by 3 inches. I found that to be a little bit small. I need it to be taller than that to go all the way around. So this right now is 1, 2, 3, a little more than 4 inches. If I take this and see about wrapping it, because what you're gonna do is wrap it, I would say that's plenty. So, and then I want it to be maybe this wide. You don't need it super wide. And then we're just gonna cut this into a square or rectangle, as it may be, and we're gonna put the rest of that shirt aside. So now I have my little rectangle piece, that's my finishing, and I have my headband with my knot. So I'm gonna put my headband, and what I'm gonna do is put all my pieces here, and then I'm gonna put glue on this and roll it so that it makes a nice little tight band. Now, if you want to be extra certain, you can put glue on these little pieces here, just to kind of glue them together so they don't come apart, which isn't a bad idea. Just to put a little glue here and a little glue here. Ooh. Used up a lot of my glue in this, and just kind of glue them, give them a little bit of gluing together. And there we have it on that side. There's a few more here. Okay, and then once we've got them all glued, we're going to take this piece and glue it. And we're just gonna put glue all over this, and then we're gonna put these together. We're going to put our piece on there. This is the top, so that where we want the seam to be is on the inside. So I'm gonna roll that over, and then I'm gonna pull this, kind of pull it tight so that it will stick well. And there you have your headband. And you have to let this dry for 24 hours before you use it.